Hey everybody, it looks like I'm live. Very exciting. We have to figure out all these techie things when we go live. If you're jumping on with me, give me a hi, hello in the comments. I'll be watching the comments for the duration of this live so that I can be sure to give you feedback on your branded photos as we go. So if you're in Oklahoma with me, you're probably, unless you're Katie who works for us, sick of the rain. My dogs are done with it. They're done with being inside. They're done with being cooped up. They're done with their paws being muddy and having to be wiped off all the time. They're just done. So I'm just done. Hey, Tim, so glad you were able to join us. If you're joining on with us, give me a hi in the comments. So yes, Tim, are you surviving the rain? It's finally I see some sunshine outside. It's really great. But that has not happened in quite a while. It's been a little while. Well, I'm very excited for today's workshop. We're going to let everybody kind of join us so that we can, get as many people on as we can. Hey, Chloe, glad you're here. Oh, good, Tim. I'm glad you're staying dry. I want as many people to join us as we can. This is one of the workshops that we've ever put on in For the Love of Business that has gotten the most RSVPs. So I can definitely tell everyone's very, very interested in branded photo shoots. I will tell you, they could really make or break your marketing in a really big way. So I'm excited to go through my process of scheduling and putting on branded photo shoots with you all. Both my windows. I have a really big screen, and I thought I'm just going to be comfortable and do this on my big screen instead of my laptop. So if it doesn't look like I'm looking at you guys, I'm looking somewhere else on the screen. Don't worry. I also thought I'd venture out instead of regular water and pour some coconut water. Anybody else like coconut water? I think it's great. Although I bought a pineapple coconut water the other day that was just fantastic. I'm really impressed. So my new go-to may be pineapple coconut water. Exciting. If you're joining us, tell me hi in the comments. Yes, we have one dog that just absolutely hates having her paws touched. She just has always hated it. And honestly, we're prepping her for when we have kids one day, and we just hold her paws all the time. And I think the other day I got up to 5 minutes. She let me just sit there and hold her paw. It was great. But days like this, where it's all gross outside and they have to go outside and she comes back in, and I try to wipe her paws down. It's just the saddest thing because she just really, really hates it. Anybody else with some dogs that hate this weather? Yes, Chloe, I know you like some coconut water. Love it. You guys know I suck at the small talk before lives. I am really proud of myself because I had to cut out of work a little bit early yesterday when the storm systems came through. I ended up with a migraine. Ugh. Running a business and having a chronic illness at the same time, not always the easiest thing. But I thought today I was keeping an eye on myself, how am I feeling now, to see if I could get to this point or if I would have to reschedule. So I'm really proud that we're here and I feel really great. So maybe the coconut water will just push it all the way through. Aw, thanks, girl. Okay, letting everybody kind of join us here. I know we had about 14, 15 people RSVP for this live. So I'm hoping people will either jump on or go back and watch the replay later. If you are busy and you can't watch the live, don't worry about it. We always post the replays to the group because finding a time that works for, close to 500 people is not possible. So yeah, we just pick a time and we go with it, and we know that everyone else will watch the replay when they can. Also, if you are that person, you're watching this replay later, go ahead and leave a comment, go ahead and interact with the training as if you were live, because I stalk these Facebook notifications for the group. It's my all-time favorite place to hang out. Hey, Terry, so glad you're here. Terry's an amazing photographer. So glad you're here to talk about branded shoots. Awesome, Chloe. I did a branded shoot the other day for, I'm not going to release the pictures yet or tell you her name, like text me, I'll tell you. But I'm not going to release them publicly until she gets to pick her favorites. But I'm telling you, it was like one of my favorite photo shoots I've ever done. The pictures just turned out amazing. She had stand-in clients come to kind of fake some of the things that she would do with a client in real life. The studio was amazing. I shot in a brand new studio. I also just upgraded my camera equipment. So I have new lighting, new camera, new studio, beautiful model. It was incredible. I also did product pictures last week or the week before. I can't remember, it all runs together. And that was super exciting too. I pulled out some colored gels to put on lights and created some ombre effects with the background, and definitely some of my favorite things to do. So I'm going to chat for like just a few more minutes and then we'll really dive in. But for those of you who don't know, I get a lot of people that either say, that they thought I was only a photographer and I didn't do graphic design, or that I only did graphic design stuff and they didn't know that I did photography. So I'm here to say, yes, Oaks Creative House offers photography as well. However, I will say graphic design is my first love. It will always be my first love. So we're particular about the shoots that we take on. I'll only really take it on if I feel like it's a really great fit for me. Otherwise, I do have some associate photographers that we work with on a regular basis. And sun just decided to come out all of a sudden. I have several associate photographers we work with on a regular basis, and I can send one of them to your shoot too. And they're all people I have either shot side by side with, they've shot my pictures, like definitely everyone that I really trust. So if you book a shoot with me, whether it's me doing it or someone else doing it, I promise you're going to love the result. That we do some really, really fun photo shoots and really dive into what you're looking to achieve, as you'll see in this workshop. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and dive in for a few things. One, I wanted to first kind of start out by talking about why it's so important to have branded photos for your marketing, because there are still a lot of business owners that look at branded photos and they're like, no, I can't have my picture taken like that. I don't want to put my face all over my marketing. I don't know about this. I don't know how I feel about this. I hate having my picture made. Let me tell you, like, you're a large part of what you're selling. You, your team, your product, interaction with your product. Marketing is really all about creating a message and creating a feeling that your customers can find themselves in. So what does that better than actually showing them how they can find themselves in your business? Now, video does a really great job of that too. I'm not a video expert, so today we're just going to stick to photography, but a lot of these same things that I'll teach you, you could easily talk to a videographer and apply the same concepts and walk away with assets for your marketing that will allow you to do that. Now, I get a lot of people that will hire me for websites and they'll say, I don't want to do a photo shoot. And they'll see the proof for their website and say, it just doesn't feel me. This is why, you guys, this is why having branded photos for your website, whether you are putting your face all over them or not, can make a lot of difference in making sure that your marketing really feels like you. It feels like something that you're really proud to show off. So I thought what we would do is that I would start by showing you a few websites that we've done that have branded images on them to really show you what kind of feeling having branded images on your website can really create for your audience. So I'm going to share my screen here and show you a couple of these. This is Miss Pamela Prather. If you have not researched her, she is seriously a badass. Like, we get the coolest clients. She is an executive coach, kind of showing everyone at the executive level for large companies who have executive teams, how to just be ready to give their TED Talk at any time, right? So we're talking about presence, we're talking about power, we're talking about confidence. She coaches on all of those topics. So after we go through a couple of these sites, I'm actually going to show you part of what we put together as her vision for her photo shoot. So then you can tell me in the comments if you think we nailed it or not. But this website has been live for couple years now. And honestly, she gets amazing feedback on it. So you can tell right here, she's saying enhance your executive presence. And she just has this boss lady look on her face that really shows that she has the confidence to help give you that same confidence for how you're going to interact with your customers if you're at this executive level. So as we scroll through, you can see we have some very fun photos here too, of her interacting with actors that she's coached with, like on Hamilton, because she's so cool. And then we have pictures where we actually brought in some fake clients for her. She brought in some friends, some family, people to play client for her so that we could really stage those pictures in a way that gives that feeling of being able to place yourself in one of her coaching sessions or training sessions, and what that would look like. So we have those. Obviously, we have here her kind of thinking and pulling inspiration from some of her favorite authors and getting ready for coaching with you, even a little bit of what kind of Zoom looks like with her. And then one of the most favorite things that she wanted to bring to her photo shoot is motion and excitement and emotion. She wanted to really bring out this movement type of feeling because that's what she teaches people. As I'm trying to get this across on my Zoom calls, she would teach you how to do that. So we get this like movement and pictures here that really show that she's hands-on when she coaches with you. So this is a great example of using branded photos on a website. Here's another one, and let me say, these are branded photos. I did not take these photos because Cutie Paws is in Atlanta, so they brought in a photographer that's in that area. But this is a great example of how you could not really plaster your face all over your marketing materials, but still have really great branded photos. So you can see here, the photographer found this really cool mural wall, and they found a pet photographer, and she's actually in this group. So hi, these are amazing pictures. She found a pet photographer because this is a pet sitting service. So you can see here, we found this wall that brings in the colors from the logo, brings in this fun effect that we want to show for Cutie Paws. And they actually did something very fun and gifted a pet photography session to one of their clients. So you can see here, these are their actual clients. And how cool if I had somebody pet sitting my dogs and they were like, hey, could we give you guys a free photo shoot if we can use the pictures on our website? I'm like, heck yes, yes, you can. So this is a great example of branded photos that don't necessarily put her always at the forefront. This is the owner there, Heather, that don't always put her at the forefront, but she's still involved in the picture. So it makes a really big difference to really give that right feeling with pictures. Here's another one. I went ahead and skipped to their team page for Flaunt. Flaunt has like 36 stylists, and this is a great way to also show off your team and show off some of your team's personality. So we're actually about to do a new photo shoot for them on June 8th, but I wanted to show you from the last one that we did a while ago, just how different, how personable you can get some of these pictures, you know, in poses that really work for your team, but you can also get that cohesiveness. You can tell they're done in the salon. You can tell they were all told to wear black, but their personality still shines through. So it's kind of that best of both worlds. Now, let's switch over to Ashley here. Ashley is a functional nutritional therapy practitioner. I'm going to butcher that. Sorry, Ashley. And was very cautious about having pictures of herself taken for a multitude of reasons. But you can see here, we have her face on her website. It feels personal. It feels like something that you get to know her as you read the copy, as you go through her website, you get to know her. And obviously this one is very mixed with stock photos, and that's fine. Not every picture that you put on your marketing material has to be of you. We can still mix in those stock photos and get the best of both worlds. Here's the last one I'm going to show you is Jiffy Trip. We launched this site a couple weeks ago. Super exciting. I don't usually work with clients of this size, but it just ended up being the perfect fit. So we went to Enid and did a couple photo shoots at their locations. And you can see here we have branded photos to show off. Now, one of my favorite things that we did, let me skip around here. One of my favorite things that we did was we photographed a lot of their food. If you've been following me for a while, I love photographing food. It's like my favorite thing because food, but this gives you a really great idea of the type of variety of food that you can find at a Jiffy Trip location. So you can see here, you know, we put a lot into the pictures. We have some of their employees' faces on here. It was fun for them to interact and have their pictures made doing what they love, doing what they do every day. So that's a great one. Now, if you haven't been to my website, obviously my picture is all over my website, and it took me a long time to be okay with that, but here we are, and it has made a huge, huge difference in my marketing efforts. So I would love to know in the comments if you had any favorites from what I showed you. Does anything stand out to you? Did anything, you know, not vibe well with you? Every brand is different. Every business owner is different. There's something different that you want from every stage of a branded photo shoot. So I would love to know what you think of those. Lots of talking during these lives. Now, the next thing I want to tell you is if you go to my website, oakscreativehouse.com/resources, I have a resource for you. And this is basically what we're going to go through during today's live. It is the How to Style Your Photo Shoot workbook. So what I did was I actually sat down and thought about what is my process when I'm creating branded photos for either myself or for a client, and how could I teach others that process? So I have this in a workbook, so don't feel like you have to frantically take notes every step of this live for the remainder of our time together. You can go on, download the workbook, and kind of have everything that you need right there in order to plan your own branded photo shoot. Okay, so let me go over basically what we're going to cover in our next 45 minutes or so together. So we're going to talk about a budget. Budgets are important for every project you do for your business. This is definitely no different. We're going to talk about how do you brainstorm and gather ideas for your photo shoot, creating a shot list, finding your photographer. It is really important that you work with a photographer that you really click with. And to be honest, that may not be me. It may not be somebody that you know really well. It may be somebody who is even a stranger to you. So you can just really show up and not be thinking about what that person's thinking, right? You get to show up and do your job. They get to show up and do their job, and that's okay. I've had so many friends over the years apologize to me for not hiring me to photograph like their big events, their weddings and things like that. And I'm like, not at all. I think that would have just been just as much as awkward as you think it would have been. So don't worry about it. I'm happy to just go and party with the rest of all of your friends. So finding your photographer is very important. Your location and date, what to wear, what to bring, how to get ready, how to show up and be yourself, and how not to overthink the shots you use. So there are 10 steps in the process. If you know me, if you've followed me for a while, I'm a process kind of person. So we're going to go through all 10 steps. Okay, the first thing that we're going to start with is a budget. Now, one of the main reasons I put this as part of the process is because I feel like people really go wrong when it comes to budget because they don't account for everything else that's going to go into a photo shoot, right? You're only accounting for what your photographer costs. So let me tell you a few things that go into this budget. You have your photographer's fee, of course. That's what largest chunk of what you're going to pay for in a branded photo shoot. You also probably have a location rental. If you're like me, I office out of my house. Obviously, there's a dog bed over here. So I typically rent a studio in order to do my photo shoots. And this allows us, one, to have a lot more room. Shooting in small spaces is hard sometimes. And for me to kind of create the look that I want for my marketing materials. So budgeting for a location is really big. Now, I know outside locations are typically free, and a lot of people will kind of gravitate towards saying, well, I can just do my business photos outside. Here's the problem with that. what you're doing with these photos is creating an atmosphere that your potential clients or your potential customers or donors, if you're a nonprofit, could just pop themselves into that photo and feel completely comfortable. So would you do a business meeting outside at a park? Probably not. Would you meet with a potential $10,000, $20,000 donor outside at a park? Probably not. So I think a coffee shop is a good alternative, but sometimes they're busy, sometimes it's loud, sometimes they won't let you shoot there, or you kind of feel like you're in the way, or it's awkward because everybody's watching you. So I typically like to rent locations or borrow an office type setting, even hotel lobby type setting for a photo shoot. I feel like it makes a big difference and really sets it apart from being pictures of you guys as a couple, or wedding pictures, or family pictures, or senior pictures. It really makes them business pictures. So I feel like that can be extremely important. Now, the other things you need to budget for is, are you going to have hair and makeup done? Now, I know this typically only applies to the women in the group, but you never know. Even you guys, do you need a budget for spray tan? You know, put some color on. Is it the middle of winter? Like, that's not your best color. Let's get some color going. So that can be something to budget for. Clothing. I often buy new clothing for photo shoots. Usually it's because everyone has seen all my clothes on every live that I do. So I like for the photos to look fresh. Accessories, props, rental furniture, anything like that. So there are several things that go into that budget, not just your photographer's fee. Keep that in mind. So I don't have a set budget that you should be shooting for in a photo shoot. I do know that typically for the photographer, this could cost anywhere from like $400 for a couple hours for a shoot to $1,000. I mean, if you wanted to go all in. So just make sure you're kind of, as you walk through this planning process, that you're thinking about what will that cost, or you're asking every stage of the way what that will cost. So the first step is a budget. Now, if you have a set budget, so if you're working on a specific budget, you've taken, 5 to 10% of your income for this year and set it aside for marketing, and you know that you want photos to be X% of that money, then I would start this with that in mind. So that may affect which photographer you choose. That may affect which clothing you choose. It may affect which venue you choose to have them shot in. There are a lot of things that can affect. So if you don't have a set budget, add up as you go. The other thing is you can kind of go into this maybe not having a super set budget the first time, and then go back and track the math afterwards and know if you're going to do it again next year and get a whole nother batch of photos taken, what that will cost you to have done the following year. Okay. So step 2 in the process is to brainstorm. So if you're anything like me, I love Pinterest. Pinterest is like a whole love language of mine. If somebody sends me pins from a pin board, I'm really, really excited about it. So that's where I start. I keep it really simple. There's already a platform to brainstorm visuals with. It exists for us. Why reinvent the wheel, right? So I'm going to show you a couple examples of actual Pinterest boards that either myself or my clients have created to get ready for their branded shoots. Okay, so I would love to know, while I get this shared in the comments, do you use Pinterest? Do you love it? Do you hate it? What are your feelings on Pinterest? Okay, this is actually a board that I put together. You can tell it's secret. I usually make secret boards, but this is a board that I actually put together before I launched my new website for the first time, before we changed out any of the pictures on it. So this is really great because you kind of get a mix of headshots, you get a mix of working pictures, something that feels like you're working in front of a computer. I love this one that's like putting things up on a board, getting really creative. That fits with what I do. There are Okay, I was making sure my screen really shared. Okay, so lots of different ideas here. There are also pictures here. Oh, good, Mandolin. I'm glad you use Pinterest for everything. You're going to fit in just fine here. I also have a lot of examples here that don't show my face or don't show the model's face. And I feel like that's important too, to kind of vary up in your marketing materials so that it's not always headshot, headshot, smiling headshot. That's where I see a lot of people go wrong with branded photos, is everything is a look at the camera and smile headshot. And that emotion doesn't fit for every message. That vibe doesn't fit for everything. Sometimes we need more of a variety, but still in that branded look. So still in things that all go together. So I love the pictures like these, where she's looking through color charts, you know, and you actually, if you go to my website, you'll see some things like this. We did use that as inspiration. Holding coffee mugs, holding business cards. Oh, good, Terry. I'm glad you love Pinterest too. I'm not alone in my love for Pinterest. Okay, so even like, you know, in a blazer, holding your laptop, ready to go to a meeting, Pinterest is such a great place to get ideas. So these are some examples of before we did my branded photos. Some were just for props or colors. Some I liked her hair color, so obviously I was planning for my hairstylist too. Some are for clothing, but I know what they're all for, right? Because I created it. So this is a good example of a Pinterest board. So Pamela, you saw her website earlier. This was her Pinterest board before her shoot. So you can see we were talking about movement and emotion, and you can see that in these picture examples where she's, you know, on stage talking or getting really excited in a meeting. And we created that vibe with her pictures, definitely. So here's some examples. Hers was really fun because she had inspiration for light background and dark backgrounds, and we did end up getting both during her photo shoot. See, things like that, told me as a photographer which venue to choose, knowing that we wanted to get both light background and a dark background. So it's always good to brainstorm and start with a Pinterest board. Here's another one for a local attorney. We created her branded photo shoot. Honestly, her Pinterest board ended up a lot like mine. So her shoot was easy breezy because we had a similar vibe, similar style. I even do this for, there's a husky on this one. I'm not surprised at myself. I even do this for product photos. So even if really what you're having photographed for your marketing materials is not your face, it is still a really great process to start with a Pinterest board. So this is, I work with a company called Mahota Textiles, and they make Native American blankets, and they are just amazing. There's not one on this Pinterest board, but go to their website. They're incredible. And these were some ideas we were gathering of how we could show off their products. So several ideas. We did end up doing a shoot at a model home with a bed so we could put the blankets out on it. They did have some pillows, so we got some pillow inspiration. This is where like it just gets the creative juices flowing, because it's like, oh yeah, holding a pillow, that's a great idea. We could have them hold it. Oh, look at that. That's fun. Holding it above her head. That's really fun. Maybe on a chair, maybe in a stack, maybe close up, maybe holding a lot of pillows, right? So this can get that creativity flowing so that you can really start to kind of hone in on what you like and what you don't, and what type of variety you want from your shoot. Here's the last one. This is a board that I put together for product photography in general. I do work with, honestly, Margot, and they're a skincare company. They do lip balms and lotions and body scrubs and all kinds of stuff. So this is some inspiration we have pulled before for their photography. So you can see right there in that handful of Pinterest boards that I showed you, and we did do some things like this, it was amazing. Right here in this Pinterest board group that I showed you, you can see what type of variety you can get in creating a Pinterest board. So here's my biggest tip, is to not stay stuck in Pinterest land. for if you're Pinteresting anything. I mean, if you're Pinteresting for like a DIY home project or a cooking thing or a branded photo shoot. So I typically encourage people to set a timer for an hour or 2 hours. Usually I can do a Pinterest board like this in an hour, but I've done this a lot of times, right? So it may take you a little bit longer than that, but I encourage you definitely before you even contact a photographer to make a Pinterest board, because this will help them to see, are they in your style? Can they shoot in this style? Do they think they can really produce what you want? Do you need additional props? Does the location work, right? A picture's worth 1,000 words. So instead of describing, I'd like some pictures sitting on a desk, you can show them what type of pictures you're talking about. Is it a white desk? Is it a modern place? Are you really dressed up? Are you really dressed down? Are you, laying on top of it? Or are you sitting with a book? Are you sitting at it working? This gives them the idea to really place you and create that vibe for you. So, okay, I'm glad that all of you love Pinterest as much as I do. Amazing part of the process. So what do we do from here? What's step 3? Step 3 is to create your shot list. In the freebie that you're going to download, it actually talks about a Chrome extension called Pin Down. I'm not sure that it exists anymore, but I'm sure there are other ways to get all the pins off your Pinterest board. So what I like to do at this point is download them all and organize them. And you will start to see, oh, these are all headshots. Oh, these are all emotional type photos like Pamela likes, right? Oh, these are all product specific. This group is all dark. This group is all light. This group is all at a desk. This group is all on a couch. You start to then see similarities in what you pin. So what I typically see is that if you spend an hour or 2 creating a Pinterest board, you'll roughly end up with, I'm going to say maybe 5 categories of shots. So for most business owners that work at a desk or work one-on-one with clients, this looks like headshots, working type photos, thinking, working, blogging, that kind of thing, working with clients. Like I said, stand-in clients come in and stage out some pictures like that. Some other ones could be just detail shots, like hands on a keyboard, the back of your head showing your screen, different things like that. And then fun shots. I always love to take some fun shots. Maybe this is throwing glitter. I have several shots that I use often that's popping champagne, because a lot of our emails that go out say, I'm going to pop champagne with you whenever you win because I'm excited for you. So we actually did pictures popping champagne. Don't worry, we also drink it, but that makes photo shoots really fun. So formal headshots, casual headshots, working shots at a desk, on the phone, on a computer, detail shots, fun photos, or service area photos can be really important categories to think of for your shot list. Now, what do I mean by service area photos? So I showed you the Pinterest board of the local attorney. She practices in several different areas, one being like marriage, divorce law, one being adoption law, something else with money fraud kind of thing. Obviously, this is not what I do, but she had several areas that she practiced in. So what we did was we actually took photos that kind of mocked up, similar to a stock photo, but mocked up something that pertained to that area. So we actually showed somebody signing a divorce contract. Sorry, that one's sad. We actually showed a couple holding a picture of a baby for adoption law. And what this did was it became pictures that she could use on social media that were branded in her colors and her style to talk about those different service areas. It also did a really great job of providing big images for the top of her website for each of those pages that talked about those service areas. So that's something to think about too, is especially if you work in an industry that may be kind of hard to find stock photos, or maybe you love a really moody vibe, but you work in tech. None of the tech stock photos are moody. They're all super modern and crisp. So you could have your photographer take some pictures that you can use for marketing that aren't necessarily always you, that really represent your areas of service. So we do logos. I have pictures sketching or drawing things. We do websites. So I have pictures of me working on a website, at a computer. We also do photography. So I actually brought my camera camera to my shoot and had my photographer photograph me holding it, photographing someone else, photographing products. This really shows your audience what services you provide instead of just telling them. So I would love to know, now that we're to step 3, if anybody has questions for me. I am keeping an eye on the comments, so let me know if you have a question at this point. But step 3, like I said, is creating that shot list. So this is important to go back through your ideas and say, you know what? I love headshots that are done on a stool. Let's be sure to do that. I love pictures working on a computer. Oh, I need to show greeting customers at my place of business, right? Or maybe I need to show me gift wrapping something. Maybe we're putting it in a bag, gift wrapping it up to send out the door with a customer. So what things are really important for you to walk away from this photo shoot with? Now, great photographer is going to have that shot list with them throughout your whole shoot. They're going to be checking things off. They're going to be making sure that they're really walking away with as many photos from that shot list as they can. Okay. Step 4 is to find your photographer. So we talked a little bit about this earlier. I do think it is important to find a photographer that shoots within your style. If you love light and airy, but they typically do kind of moody, dark pictures, they may not be the photographer for you. Now, I put in the freebie, but a lot of photographers can shoot in a different style. So if it's somebody that you really love, I wouldn't be afraid to ask them, hey, you know, I really love you and I think your work is really great, but for my website, it's just not quite the right style. Would you be open to shooting in this style, or have you ever shot in this style? Could you show me some examples? That's always an option. The other thing is, I think you should jive with your photographer. I think you should have a similar vibe. I feel like you should be able to laugh and let loose and be yourself around this person. I know that's sometimes hard whenever you're just meeting them at your shoot for the first time, but don't be afraid to say, hey, could I stop by your studio for like a 10-minute little meet and greet to know if you're the right photographer for me or not? A lot of times you just really get a feeling from someone when you meet them. So if you need to do that in order to feel comfortable with your selection, go ahead and do that. It's necessary, because these are pictures that are going to sell your business and are going to sell your services and bring in customers and clients. So it is really important to make sure that you really walk away with something that you're happy with. The other thing, and I know we have a lot of photographers in this group, and I don't want to put a genre of photographer down, but let's think logically for a second. Not all photographers have shot for businesses, right? Or shot for commercial purposes. It is a little bit different than shooting artsy type photos. So as much as I love a very dramatic, fashionable, sexy shot of someone, that's not always the look that you want to portray for your business, right? Or as much as I love kind of moody lighting or really heavy editing in certain situations, if you're selling a product that needs to be true to color and very crisp in the picture, they may not be the right photographer for you. So that's probably my biggest tip in finding a photographer, is ask them if they've shot for a business before. Now, if they haven't, if you have a photographer that you're like, they've done my family pictures for like my whole life, they did my wedding pictures, I know that I love them, I know I love their style, now I want them to do my business pictures. This is where having that Pinterest board and showing them what you're looking for becomes really important. Having a discussion with them to say, do you think you can produce what I'm looking for, becomes very important. And the other thing is to make sure that they know that they need to get a variety of vertical and horizontal pictures. As I showed you on those websites we scrolled through, there is a lot of use in marketing for a variety of orientations. And I have noticed that especially wedding photographers tend to shoot up and down in portrait mode. And trust me, they are beautiful, beautiful pictures. But when you need a big header image for the hero on your website, it may not give it to you, right? If you can't really just crop that picture every time, there's not enough space. So I think it's really important to ask them specifically to take a lot of horizontal and vertical photos during your shoot. Okay. The next thing is location and date. Now, I say location and date in tandem because sometimes it's worth putting off your shoot for a week to get a location that really works for your brand. So this is where I like to say, don't just book a date with a photographer and say that you're going to pick out a location later. I would heavily research your location first or research it with them. A lot of photographers know great locations. So if you show them that Pinterest board, you give them a rough idea of a shot list, then they can help you select a location that works and be in that discussion to make sure you're really picking a date that works for everyone. So I'll give you an example of how we pick locations. This is one of my favorite location spots. This is White Moose Studios, and they have several locations in the Oklahoma City area, and we love to shoot there. So White Moose Scissor Tail is where I take a lot of the pictures for my website. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because you should be able to clearly see for any location what inventory of furniture they have. So here's their inventory at this specific location. This is what they have all the time. Now, sometimes they have some seasonal things on top of this, but this is what you could expect whenever you book your shoot. Now, this is really important because I brought blue in as a brand color when I launched my course. And I specifically made sure that blue couch was going to be there for me to shoot on. Same thing with, I've had a couple clients that blue or green is in their brand colors. So it was really important to pick that location based on that. So I'm saying this because if the location looks really great and has furniture that you like, that's going to save you on your budget. So you're not going to have to bring in different furniture. The other thing is not every studio has a desk setup. I actually still have my old white rolling desk chair that I used to sit in just for photo shoots. Literally, we keep in the attic and I bring it down for photo shoots because a lot of them will do something like this, where it's a small desk. It's a chair that not necessarily would make sense if you're selling a service that's virtual. You wouldn't necessarily sit in a chair like that to do work with them over the computer, over the internet. So I like to bring a rolling chair because I feel like it's a little more authentic. So this is really important to really kind of look and see if you're looking at locations to also know what furniture they have. So this location here has a pink couch, has a gray sofa. Obviously, they have a lot of newborn posing things too because they rent their location to more than just business owners. But I think it's important to just take a look and see what furniture they have and let that be part of your decision to use that location or not. Okay, I would love to know, does anyone have locations that they love? So we have several people on from Oklahoma City. We have several people on from Edmond and Elk City. If you have a location you love, I would love to hear about it in the comments because we are always on the lookout for really great locations. And by looking at some of these locations, you may also kind of spark an interest and say, oh, that maybe looks like my friend's house. You maybe could shoot there for free. Or that looks like an office building I've been to. They may let you shoot there for free. Some hotels will let you shoot in their lobby for free. Some of them do have a desk set up. So that becomes kind of a help with the budget end of things, but also gives you a great location to shoot in. So I think it's really important to pick your location and your date in tandem because they are that important. Now, okay. In terms of furniture, ooh, Tim, the downtown Oklahoma City Library is a cool modern location. I would love to shoot there sometime. That sounds amazing and could really give that good vibe. If I remember from some photos I've seen there, there are some like windows and things too. Yeah, it's great to find those little gems of locations and keep them in your roster for yourself, for clients, for friends, you know, good to know. I will say if the location you choose doesn't have furniture that you like, that's okay. There are actually companies all over that rent furniture for photo shoots. I have borrowed my in-laws' furniture for photo shoots. I have okay, I've gotten scrappy when it comes to furniture sometimes, but it is really important to give off the right vibe for what you're doing in your pictures to make sure you have furniture that really works. The other thing with sometimes at different locations, they'll have like tiny couches, and I maybe have a complex about being 5'9" and sitting on a tiny couch, but I feel like I'm a giant. So that's another thing is I like to kind of know roughly kind of what's the size of some of their furniture, because it may look really cool with a kid sitting on it, but you get me 5'9" sitting on it and I'm like, oh, I'm a giant person on tiny furniture. So that's important too. Now, furniture is a really great way that you can show off your brand colors along with what you're going to wear. And we're going to talk about that next. I will also say, at one point, I was staging a photo shoot for my website. It's a lot of the pictures that you see on there now. And I just kept thinking, but I love my desk. Like so much better than every other desk I've seen. I just want my desk there. And Stephen rented a U-Haul for $20. And we loaded my desk in it and we took it to the location. We had it in, we had it out. It was no big deal. I will say most photo shoot locations, they do rent by the hour, and your time starts on the hour and ends when it ends. So you need to kind of deduct some of that loading and unloading from your time there, or bring some friends. I have definitely bribed people with like food and drinks to just come unload furniture at my photo shoot and load it back. So that's always on the table too. If you have a piece of furniture you really love, bring it to the studio that you're using. There's no harm in that. It just takes a little more help, a little more planning. Okay, so now onto the fun part. I'm going to call this fun part. It's what to wear. I know a lot of people really struggle with what to wear at your photo shoots. And this is for a valid reason, right? This is where a lot of our own like body insecurities come in. This is where you start to wonder, is it professional enough? Is it too stiff? What really works? So I usually tell people for a 2-hour photo shoot to bring 3 to 5 outfits. The likelihood of us using all 5 is pretty slim, but I like to have options there. Like we had a photo shoot last week and it ended up that in the garment bag, one of her suits got very wrinkled. Cameras are harsh, you guys. Cameras are detailed. They are, you're going to see every little wrinkle. You're going to see every little thing. Otherwise, you're going to be paying that photographer extra to edit them all out. That's typically not included in photo shoot prices. That little minute retouching isn't. So it's really important that you pick things that are flattering on you, that aren't going to wrinkle easy, that are going to show off your brand colors. You don't want to pick something that you're like, oh, my brand color is green and this is turquoise, so it's close enough. No, you need to find something that really fits, because otherwise you're not going to really want to love those pictures and put them all over your marketing materials. So I have a blog post that I have here, so I can tell you a few things off of it about what to wear, what not to wear to a photo shoot. I will say you should try to bring in your brand colors the most that you can. And you'll see that if you go to my Instagram feed, you're going to see my brand colors all over what I'm wearing. And I feel like it's really important because you have seconds when that picture pops up on Instagram to grab their attention. So if I'm always in my palette of brand colors, whenever I pop up on your feed, it's going to grab your attention that much faster and let you know that you're in the right place. You're looking at a post from Oaks Creative House. It's something that you recognize. It's something that you love. So I would try to shop, spend some time shopping or shopping online, finding your brand colors and or neutrals. So I usually say to avoid really big, funky patterns. Patterns can sometimes make people look wider. Online, I have vertical stripes on today. Vertical stripes are usually okay. Horizontal stripes, not so much. So we want to make sure that at every angle that the camera could catch you at, that you feel really comfortable in that thing. And usually that means avoiding anything with like really big, busy patterns. And plus it really, unless it's a pattern that really speaks to your brand, like it really fits, then sometimes it can be distracting from your face or the rest of you, which is really important for people to see when they're looking at your branded photos. I also would say avoid anything with a logo. I've had a lot of men show up to headshots with like an Under Armour polo on or something with a logo on it, if you can find something solid, it's going to be so much better. It's just going to make people not really read into what brand you're wearing. Instead, they're going to look at what your headshot looks like. In general, now I'm saying in general because every body type is different, everyone's style is different. You'll want to avoid loose or really baggy clothing because it just doesn't come off as flattering in pictures. So that's kind of something to keep in mind as you try things on. On the flip side of that, I've also had people show up to photo shoots and be like, these jeans are a little small and they won't button, but it'll be fine, right? No, it won't. The camera literally will show everything. So if you're uncomfortable in whatever you're wearing, it's going to, one, show on your face, but two, the camera is going to pick that up, that it's not going to be very flattering. So this may mean budgeting for a new pair of jeans that fit really well, or a blazer that fits you really well, or whatever kind of style you're going for in your pictures. Most of the time, I would say stay away from something sleeveless. Most of the time, especially women, but really anyone, you're not going to be able to get every angle because you're going to see this like wider part of your arm, even if you really have really buff arms. Like even if you're in really great shape, there are a lot of angles that a photographer will want to put you in that puts your arm at the front of the photo. And a lot of people really don't like being photographed that way, but it is a very flattering angle if you have on sleeves. So I would say avoid anything sleeveless. Most of the time we say to avoid accessories that are overly blingy unless it's kind of part of your vibe or your brand that you're putting off. Yeah, that kind of sums up a lot of the tips that I have around clothing or what to wear. What I typically do is I really start to pay attention to what do I like to be photographed in, whether you're taking a selfie or I'll hand the phone to Steven and say, hey, take my picture before we go out to dinner. And I'll start to notice, oh, I felt really good in that, or I really liked that picture, or I didn't. So then you start to know what fit you the best. And the biggest thing is just be comfortable. You know, you don't need to squeeze into something 3 sizes too small because nobody can see the size in the tag. Nobody's going to notice that. You will be the only one who will know. So if you need to buy something that's really flattering versus something that's 3 sizes smaller in that number, buy the thing that's flattering. It's going to make a world of difference in how much you love these pictures. Okay, so I would love to know in the comments as we go on if anyone has questions about what to wear, or if anyone really has also struggled with what to wear to their photo shoots, because I know that is a really hot topic. Okay, so step 7 is what to bring. So in addition to finding your brand colors in furniture or in the clothing that you're wearing, you can also bring this in props. I've done this as minute as bringing a colored notebook to a photo shoot that's in a certain brand color can make a world of difference. A pin in a certain brand color, we've done that for clients, like an ink pen to write with. So anything you think of that you can kind of bring into the photo shoot that makes your brand colors pop or come to life or vibe with the picture, what it will do is when it's used later in your marketing materials, it won't feel like the colors in your picture are competing with the colors of the graphics or the other elements around it. It really feels like they were meant to go together when you're using similar colors. So a little list of things that we love to bring to photo shoots is a cell phone, a notebook, a computer. I always like to bring like a planner or examples of my work to show off. Books. I have definitely brought my dogs to several photo shoots. They have been a big part of how we present ourselves. Also, people love seeing my dogs in Christmas cards, so I typically always bring them to a Christmas photo shoot, even for business. So it's important to kind of have a list of what you want to bring and to make sure that you've packed it early, right? You don't want to be the morning of your photo shoot struggling and packing everything and saying, oh, I'll just much, throw it in the car, because then when you get to the venue, you have to piecemeal and take it all out of the car piece by piece. And that is really hard to do too. So what I always tell people is pack it early, pack it in something like a tote or a suitcase. Suitcases work great for this. And then you can just roll it in. Then you can just, bring it in with you, and it's no big deal. So I wanted to share one more little example for you here. This is a shot list we put together for a client, Pamela. You've seen her website. She's a good example of a branded photo shoot, so I'm using her a lot. You can see her main objectives were headshots, working shots, and those emotional shots that we talked about. But you can also see here right on the next page, I have her brand colors. And this really helped her to select outfits, props, furniture, everything that was really within her brand colors. So here we have some examples of, types of shots that she liked. Like I said, light background and dark background, working, client interaction, some of those emotional type shots, even detail shots. But this is what I wanted to show you. I always break down what the prop list is. Here's what I'm bringing. Here's what they're bringing. Here's what we still need to find. And this is really important so that also you're not the morning of your photo shoot saying, oh, did the photographer say that they were going to bring that prop, or is it my responsibility to bring it? I've definitely been to several photo shoots where I was under the impression that they were going to bring a certain prop and they didn't. And it definitely made us think on the fly of how to change up that picture to still get something usable. So it's really important to pack that stuff ahead of time. Okay. Step 8 I have is getting ready. I'm pretty bougie and I like to have my hair and makeup done for every photo shoot. And part of it is just getting out of my head, right? And not nitpicking everything and saying, oh, I don't like that or this, and relying on someone that I know will do a really good job. I've been using the same person. I have like 2 different people that I go to. I've been using the same people for years. So I know they know my look. I know they know how to do my hair the way I like it. So it's really important for me to do something like that. But in your case, if that's not on the table for you or something that's important for you, it may be as simple as planning extra time to get ready. Or like, I even know, if I'm in the bathroom getting ready and Steven gets in the shower, my hair will immediately go curly. So just kind of making sure you have the space and the time to get ready at a slower pace, because cameras do show everything. Now, I will also say I've had people come to photo shoots and say, oh, you can just touch up my roots in Photoshop, right? I could for every single picture pulled up, and that's going to cost you more money than what I quoted in this photo shoot because I didn't account for your hair not being colored, right? Photographers expect you to come to a shoot camera ready. So if there's something that you need fixed in every shot, let's try to find a way to fix it on you versus the other way around. Now, some things are unavoidable. Maybe you have a scar or, you had a blemish pop up, something like that. It's okay. Things like that happen. But for the most part, things that you can control, like getting your hair done, maybe even getting your nails painted. I always encourage women to come to photo shoots with just simple painted neutral nails, because we are going to show you holding something, holding a phone, whatever. So your nails are important. Even for you guys, just making sure that they're clean, just making sure that they're photo worthy. So every part of your body, for the most part, making sure, I even usually encourage that people get their toenails painted, because you never know if we're going to kick off your shoes and we're going to pull your feet up and have kind of a loungy shot while you're thinking or writing, then that's important because we may see them in the picture. So only 2 steps left. Woo, I've talked a lot. Only 2 steps left. One is to show up and be yourself. This is my personal struggle. Right? If I put in all the work to plan this photo shoot, I maybe have other people standing in as clients. I've brought all these props. I've done all this work. It is very hard for me to go, okay, now just be happy on camera, right? It's almost like acting in a lot of ways. So I would say do whatever you need to do to get out of your head and into this space. So for a lot of our clients, we'll pick up a bottle of champagne on the way. We'll do a little something like scheduling it either in the morning when they're more fresh or in the afternoon where they're more fresh, just so that it's not written all over your face how unhappy you are to have your picture made, right? We don't want people to have that feeling from our pictures. And then the last one is to not overthink the shots that you use. I also have done a lot of photo shoots where people will nitpick every shot and say, oh, but there's one little piece of a shadow, or I should have, done my hair a little different, or my lipstick, wasn't as bright as I wanted it to be, or whatever the case is, right? These pictures are important to your business. And most of the time, the people looking at them aren't even going to notice those things. They're going to get a feeling from the shots that they're looking at. They're not going to look at every single little detail. So take care of what you can, but don't let that stop you from using these pictures in your marketing. So it's really important not to just nitpick every one. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll send my gallery to a few friends and have them pick some of their favorites too. And when I do that, I notice that maybe all of my friends picked the same favorite picture and I overlooked that one for some really silly reason. So then it becomes one that I use in my marketing. So, okay, you guys now know my 10 steps to plan a branded photo shoot. I also just want to say it's not easy. There are 10 steps in the process. In order to get those perfectly curated pictures, some work and some planning has to go into it. It's not just happened by chance that there was a desk and a computer and I'm wearing all my brand colors for this photo shoot, right? Those are things that were planned to every detail. So if you are not a detailed planner, maybe this is where you need some help. Now, like I said, that freebie is on my website. It's free. You can download it anytime. So even if you're not looking to hire someone like me to help plan your branded photo shoot, which we do here, but even if you're not looking to go that route, you could sit down with a more detailed friend or a spouse and have them go through that with you in order to really plan it to a T the way that it needs to be done. So I have went over an hour. I'm 1 minute over an hour. So sorry. I would love to know if there are any questions. I'll hang out for a minute to see if there are any questions in the chat. And like I said, if you're watching the replay, go ahead and post your questions in the chat and I'll go back and answer them for you. When I first started doing lives like this in the group, I thought, no way I can talk for an hour. I can always talk for an hour. It's very possible. I hope that everyone who watched this really felt like they got something out of it. I know that this was a really popular topic because a lot of people look at those perfectly curated Instagram feeds and want that. And I know they're really great. And honestly, whenever I started posting branded photos to my Instagram and updated my website with branded photos, that's when I started getting comments like, I already felt like I knew you by the time we got on Zoom. And there is something to be said for that, you guys. If you can really capture your potential customer even before you have a consultation with them, that can be really strong for your sales. So that you're not having to oversell yourself, every time you talk to someone. They already have a glimpse of what they're going to get whenever they dive in with you. Okay, questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comments for me. I'll still hang out for a few more minutes. I hope this was very helpful for everyone. I will say I've done several websites lately that they didn't do a branded shoot or they didn't have really great pictures, and it just makes all the difference in your marketing material if you have really great photos to use with it. Okay, I'm not seeing any comments here, so I think we'll go ahead and wrap up so everyone can get back to their evening. But like I said, that freebie's on my website. I'll post a link to it in the comments as well. And you can always go back and watch this video to get a refresher whenever you are planning your branded photo shoot. If you have done a branded photo shoot and you'd like some feedback on it, please DM me a link to the pictures. I would love to give you some feedback on what maybe you could improve for next time. Also, when we post, Win Wednesdays and things like that, that's a great place to show off, what you've done. Maybe you had a photo shoot done recently, or even you took a really great, slew of selfies. That's a great time to say, hey, I posted myself online, and I'm proud of myself for doing that. So I would love to celebrate those wins with you. And of course, if you're looking for a photographer and you're in the Oklahoma City area, we would love to shoot with you. If you don't live in this area, but you are still looking for really great branded photos and overwhelmed by the planning, I do offer styling and planning only for photo shoots, and can help do some research for your area to find a photographer that really works for you. Awesome. Well, I'm going to jump off here. It was so great chatting with you all. I can't wait to see what you do with all of this information.